Hey guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we are going to be doing today. So, guys, for today's lesson, we are going to be getting into actually seeing how you make a dot plot, or sorry, not a dot plot, but a box plot, which is also known as a box and whisker plot. So, guys, we're going to have to improvise this just a little bit because I am aware that we're a little limited on our resources as far as being able to create diagrams. If you are able to find tools that allow you to create the box plots on your notes, that would be awesome. And if you do, just let me know what kind of resource you use, and I'll be glad to share it with the class so they can have that resource as well, just to kind of help us at least have a chance to practice them. But if we don't get around to being able to actually have opportunities to draw the box plots, that's fine too. We're going to at least talk about how to get the information to make them, guys. Because honestly, guys, the hardest part about a box plot, otherwise known as a box and whisker plot, is simply getting the data you need to make it. Once you know the data, it's actually really easy to make a box and whisker plot. It doesn't take long at all to actually, once you have all the data. So here's what we're looking at, guys. And I'm probably, again, going to crop out this problem on the notes. But just in case I didn't, on the first sheet of notes, we're not looking at question 7. We're going to skip that one and go right down to here. Now, guys, on this section, we're actually not going to write anything on this first page of notes. This first page of notes is just a really good introduction, a good visual of what to expect when you get a box plot. So I'm just going to read what they give you here, but it tells you exactly what to do to make a box plot. It says, on example 2, making a box plot. A box plot is a graph made using the following 5 numbers. The smallest value in a data set, that sounds like the minimum. The lower quartile, or Q1. The median, the upper quartile, or Q3. And the largest value in a data set. Again, largest value sounds like maximum. Well, think about what we did yesterday. Those 5 things are what you call a 5-number summary. Minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, median. So they're saying, basically, there's a point to knowing what a 5-number summary is, like we did yesterday. You can't make a box plot unless you have those 5 numbers because you need them to make it. Because once it says that, after saying that, it says to make a box plot, find the median of all the data. Okay, simple enough. Find Q1, which is the median of the bottom half of the data, and Q3, which is the median of the top half of the data. We know that because we did that yesterday, right? Draw a number line and then graph a box that goes from Q1 to Q3. Okay, so in other words, let's say that Q1 was 5 and Q3 was 15, kind of like yesterday. It's saying you would have a number line. On the bottom, you'd have a one more. Maybe you're counting by 5s, and you put 1 at 5, 1 at 15. You would make a box that goes between 5 and 15, and that would be where you would close the box. So it would stretch from 5 to 15. There's the box part of the box plot. Then it says, draw a vertical line in the box at the value of the median. So just to kind of look at what I have so far, because this down here is a picture of the box plot, you can think of this line as Q1, and the box goes all the way over to Q3, and so this line shows Q3, and then the median is that line that's in the box. There's your median. Okay, so that's what they're talking about so far. Then it says draw a line segment connecting the minimum value to the box and a line segment that connects the maximum value to the box. So to finish off a box plot, they're saying the minimum's right here at the end of that line, and then you just draw a line. And normally, guys, they really probably should have put this here, but I like to put a data point, a little point where the minimum is and a little point where the maximum is. So I like to do it like that. So there's the minimum, and I'm going to draw a line that connects it to the box. There's the maximum. I'm going to draw a line that connects it to the box. That's why I like to call it, guys, a box and whisker plot, because then you can see, okay, there's the box, and then here's kind of like a cat. Here's my whiskers sticking off of the box. I like to call it a box and whisker plot simply because if I say box plot, it'd be easy to think, okay, just draw the box and you're done. But at least if you hear box and whisker plot, you will remember, okay, it needs the box and it needs the whiskers to finish it off. And again, it says you'll end up with a graph looking something like this, which again, at the bottom, that's what you see when you see a box plot or a box and whisker plot. So that's really all there is to say on that side. So guys, we're just going to look at the other sheet of the notes. Today's lesson is probably going to be on the shorter side, which I'm sure no one's going to complain about that. So, because again, there won't be a whole lot to say on this. We're just going to look at a few, and I'll try to keep this as ordered here as I can, guys. Sorry if it gets just a little sloppy here and there, but I will try to explain the notes I put on this page as best as I can. So it says on the back of the notes, and we've moved on to the second page of the notes. We didn't have to write anything on the first page unless you wanted to fill those dots in if you want to try that. But it says, now use the given number line to make a box plot of the data below. And they give you some data, and then they want you to first do the table on the right. So they show you a big box table, or just a little box table on the right. I'm just going to kind of cut off just a little bit here so you're focused on the right spots. They want you to fill this table in. I've already done it, obviously. If you want to just go ahead and write the numbers in, that's totally fine. But please make sure to pay attention about how I got those numbers. But we have to find the 5-number summary of that list of data. So we need the minimum, Q1, the median, Q3, and the maximum. So let's talk about how I found those 5. So I went ahead at the top of the page and I rewrote the list right up here. Okay, it goes from 20 all the way to 44. Let's talk about the easy ones first. The 2 easiest ones to find are the minimum and the maximum, simply because if you order the list, they are the easiest ones to spot. The smallest number, the biggest number. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and mark it here. Just kind of get to the point. I'm going to circle the minimum and then put M-I-N above it. And that minimum should be 20 because there's no number smaller than 20. Then I'm going to put a box around the biggest number, which in this case was 44, and that would be the maximum. So there is how I found the minimum and the maximum. So I just found the smallest number for the minimum and the biggest number for the maximum. Okay, there's 2 of them. I found 2 out of 5 just like that, almost halfway there. So now let's find, to me, the next most logical thing to find, and that is the median. Well, for the median, that is simply the middle number in the list. Well, I'm going to take a look at that list again, guys, and I'm just going to work my way to the middle. Okay, I can cross off the 20 and the 44, the 21 and the 42, the 25 and the 40, the 31 and the 38. And if I do that, got lucky here, there's 1 number in the middle. That's 35. So I'm going to box up the 35 and I'm going to call it the median. So that's how I found the median of the data set. So if we look so far, if we're just focusing on this number line at the top, I have my minimum of 20, my median of 35, my maximum of 44. We can check and see. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers on the left and 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers on the right. Therefore, this is probably a pretty reliable answer for median. So now I found 3. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and find Q1 and Q3. The lower quartile and the upper quartile. Well, keep in mind, if I have 1 number in the middle, I'm going to ignore it and just focus on the two lists on either side. So if I do that, I have 4 on the right, 4 numbers on the right, 4 numbers on the left. Well, I went ahead and took that list. I wrote it a little small there. Sorry about that. But that is that list again. 20, 21, 25, it looks like. Let me check one more time. Yeah. 20, 21, 25, and 31. And what I did was I found Q1 by looking for the middle. Well, 21 and 25 are in the middle, and the midway point between 21 and 25 is 23. Okay. So that's why the Q1 in this case is 23, because it is the median of the lower half of the numbers, which I pulled from these 4 right here. I just rewrote them down there. Okay. Then I found Q3 because that's the only one left. And on Q3, I took those top 4 big numbers, 38, 40, 42, and 44. And I wrote them down here, a little bigger, a lot easier to see now. Here's the 4 numbers on the upper half. And I found the midway point. Well, once again, kind of hit a snag. There's 2 in the middle. But we know that the halfway point between 40 and 42 is 41. So that's why Q3 has to be 41 in this case. All right. So now I have all the information I need to make my box plot or box and whisker plot. So I just did what they told you to do on the other side of the sheet. I marked where let's do the easy ones first. I marked where the minimum was. It's at 20, so I put a dot right above 20. And then the max was 44. Like I said earlier, I labeled it over here too. So there's the 20 for minimum and 44 for max. I even labeled the median. So 44 was the max. So it should go just a little bit in front of 45 and put a point, and there's your maximum. So minimum, maximum. Okay, I said again earlier that the median was 35. So the middle of that, really, guys, the way I do it, I just draw the vertical lines for the median, Q1 and Q3. And then I just kind of draw a box around it. So I just went ahead and drew a vertical line at 35. And then I determined that Q1 was 23. So I just went ahead and drew another vertical line about where 23 should go. So a little bit in front of 25. And then I drew one last vertical line for 41, which is a little bit past 40. Again, I was kind of estimating there a little bit, guys. Be totally perfect, since they don't give you specific numbers to mark. But there is the rest of it, and all I would do from there, if I just drew the 3 vertical lines, it's just draw a line over the top and a line over the bottom, and you'd also have your box. It doesn't really matter as long as you have vertical lines for Q1, Q3, and the median. As long as you draw a box over, it's fine. But again, guys, it's just, I'm not going to hold it against you guys if you can't find tools to help you create the box and whisker plot here. Because I know we're limited on resources right now, with this being majority online kind of stuff. So here's my goal then for you instead. Your goal needs to be understand what each part of the box and whisker plot stands for. In other words, think of it like, just remember that the whiskers are the minimum and the maximum, and then the edges of the box are the lower quartile and the upper quartile, and then the line inside the box is the median. If you can just remember that, that's the big thing I want you to grasp out of this. But the stuff I want you to still know how to do for today is 5-number summary again. So if you can just, again, show me you know how to do minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, and the median, that's where our grade's coming from today. All right? So what we're going to do on the next one, guys, is I like this example. It would have been great if we could have done this in class, but unfortunately, because of circumstances, we're not able to do that. We're going to look at exercises 8 through 11. And again, please don't worry if you cannot make the box and whisker plot on your paper on the computer. That's okay. Just please follow along and ask questions if you're confused about anything of the stuff I'm doing on this. I had the means since I had a paper version of it, so it made it a lot easier for me to do it than it would on a computer. So we're just going to talk about this. It says on exercise 8 through 11, a human box plot. Consider again the sticky note. Okay, so here's the idea, guys. If we'd been in class, what I would have done is I would have passed everyone out a sticky note, and I would have had you write down how many minutes it takes you to get to school. And everybody would have done it, and we would have had a data set right there to collect. And it says, consider again the sticky note you used to write down the number of minutes it takes you to get to school. If possible, you and your classmates will form a human box plot of the number of minutes it takes students in your class to get to school. So, since we can't do that, unfortunately, I went ahead and just made a data list for us. And here's the data list that I had, and I'll just kind of put a big box around it so you'll kind of know what's going on here. So, there is the data list right here where I'm pointing. There's the data list that we're going to use. So I have a 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, 20, 24, 35, 40, 50, and 70. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I kind of kept it a little easier here, guys, as you're going to see here in a minute on this one. But we're just going to say that there were 11 of us in class that day, and I had all 11 of you give me how long it takes you to get to class. Now, for some, it sounds like you got a pretty easy trip to class, 5 minutes, not too bad. And then for others, took 70 minutes. Quite a long drive, hour or 10 minutes, but it is possible. Some of us takes quite a drive to get to school. So, I kind of gave that because it's nice to kind of see if there's a little bit of like fluctuation, like not just everybody's close together. It gives a uniqueness to the data. Like some of us have it pretty easy to get into school. Some of us a little tougher than others to get to school, which is expected, the way that bus routes work and where you live and whatnot. So it says on 8, find the median of the group. Does someone represent the median? If not, who is closest? Well, if I find the median, like I did right here on number 8, if you just write the whole list down, there's 11 numbers, which means you can scratch off 5 on the left side and 5 on the right side. And if you do that, 20 is in the middle. 20 is the median. Pretty simple. And it asks, does someone represent the median? Well, if the median's 20, does someone travel 20 minutes? Yeah. So yes, if you're going to answer that question, you say yes. And that's really all you can say about it. There's not much else to explain because you're not having to tell me who's closest. So I could just go ahead and add the word yes. And maybe if I want to, draw an arrow and point to that 20 up on the original list, if we want to. Doesn't really matter. So that's just all I did. I wrote yes right here, and then I drew an arrow back up to that 20 to show, yeah, here he is, or she, whoever it is. So I found the median. Then I went ahead, and keep in mind, guys, I had that list in order from least to greatest. Some of us are still slipping up on our assignments and forgetting to do that. Going through, that's the major thing I've been seeing on some people messing up on median is we're taking a shortcut through it and we're not ordering it first. You got to order it first if you're going to get the right answer. So keep that in mind. So I found the median, and now 9 says find the maximum and minimum of the group. It says who are they? Now, again, we can't really answer that. Really, guys, the reason they're asking questions like that is they're expecting somebody in the class to like have names associated with the numbers. Like maybe, Haley went 20 minutes and Tate went 17 minutes, something like that. But unfortunately, we don't have that kind of data available. So we can't do that. We can just go ahead and just say what the minimum and the maximum are instead of labeling it with a person as well. So find the minimum and the maximum of the group. Well, the minimum's the smallest. That would be 5 if I look at my list. And then my maximum's the biggest. That would be 70. So on number 9, I kind of got them a little mixed up here, but minimum was 5, maximum 70. And that's all there is to say about that. All right. Number 10 says find Q1 and Q3 of the group. Does anyone represent Q1 or Q3? If not, who is closest to Q1? And if not, who is closest to Q3? Well, I did you guys a favor again on this list because here I made a list. If we look, all right, here's the median. We ignore it for now because there's only one in the middle. If you do that, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the lower half. So if I want Q1, here's the lower half. I rewrote it over here. Conveniently, there's just one number in the middle of that lower half, and it is 11. So Q1 is 11 because it's the midpoint of the lower half. Okay? And Q3, same thing. I took the upper half, which there's only 5 numbers on the upper half, and I found the middle there. Again, conveniently, it worked out there's only one in the middle. It's 40. Well, does 11 show up in the list? Yeah. So if we were actually trying to answer who had it, there would have been a person associated with Q1 since 11's up here. And same thing for Q3. 40's in the list up here. So if we had been associating it with names, someone would have had Q1 and someone would have had Q3. Okay. And then just to wrap this one up, guys, it wants you to sketch a box plot for this data set. So, guys, if you have the means to do that, please do. If not, don't worry about it, guys. It's not a big deal. We're having to improvise as we go, and that's okay. Hopefully, with the resources we have, we're at least understanding what's going on. That's my goal here. And please ask me questions and message me if not. So, to sketch a dot plot, I had to consider what I had here. Because, guys, here's the idea on dot plots. It's kind of like not dot plot, box plot. Here's the idea on box plots. They work like dot plots in that you have to kind of figure out what the range is to count by along the bottom, so then you can put the information above the number line. Same thing with a box plot. I need to figure out a good range to use, so where to start and where to finish, and it's also what number to count by. Well, if I look at my list, here's how I did it. If my minimum is 5 and my maximum is 70, I made the lowest number on my number line 0, because that's pretty close to 5, and my highest number 70. And what I did was I counted by tens from 0 to 70, because if I look up here at my original list, I have a 20, a 40, a 50, and a 70. There's 4 numbers right there that are exactly on the tens. So therefore, it would make sense if I made a dot plot to count by tens, because it would fit kind of some data here. Also, when I consider that my Q3 is a 40 and my median up here was 20, also kind of makes sense when I'm labeling this to count by tens. So here's my minimum of 5. It's right between 0 and 10. So there's my whisker on the left side of the data. Okay. And then make sure to label your quartiles. Q1's at 11, so draw a vertical line at approximately 11. Q3 is at 40, so on the other side of the box, draw a vertical line. And then if you want to draw a box around those 2 lines, you can. And then remember, median was 20, So draw on third vertical line at 20, and then make sure the box is complete around that. Then maximum ended up being 70. If we go back, sorry, there it is right there, 70. It's the max. So draw a point at 70 and then connect with a line. Hence, again, why I call it a box and whisker plot. So if you think about it, guys, there's really not much to say about the box plot if you know everything else like Q1, Q3, minimum, maximum, and median, because all you're doing is just labeling the 5 numbers on your number line. And remember that the whiskers are for the minimum and the maximum, and then the quartiles and the median get the box. So really the hardest part on the box plot itself, if you already know all the numbers to label, is to simply figure out how to scale your dot plot, your box plot. Then it's just a matter of drawing it. So that's really all there is to box plots. They're really not that hard to create once you know your 5-number summaries. And honestly, guys, the 5-number summaries shouldn't be too bad either, because minimum and maximum, again, are simple if you order the list. Median is pretty simple. We've done that a lot. And just think of Q1 and Q3 as like you're doing the median again. Okay? So to finish off, guys, I'm just going to talk about the assignment. And I'm going to have to modify this again, guys. Here's what I'm going to do on this exit ticket. So lesson 15 exit ticket would be for today's assignment. What it says on here, it says, given the following information, to create a box plot and find the IQR, interquartile range. It says, for a large group of dogs, the shortest dog was 6 inches and the tallest was 32 inches. Okay, think about that sentence. That should tell you 2 numbers already on your 5-number summary. Minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, median. That right there, shortest and tallest, should have already been 2 of those 5 numbers right off the bat that you know. And then it says half the dogs were taller than 18 inches. Again, that should tell you another number on your 5-number summary. 1/4 of the dogs were shorter than 15 inches. Okay, we talked about 1/4 on yesterday's lesson. I kind of drew a diagram on the back of a page to show it to you. So if you need help remembering that, go back to that, and that might help you as far as which number in the 5-number summary they're talking about when they say 1/4 are shorter than 15. And then they go ahead and tell you another one. It says the upper quartile of the dog's heights was 23 inches. So here's what I'm going to do about the assignment here, guys. I'm going to give you some options. Here's what I want you to do. This is mandatory. Everyone has to do this. I want you to find the 5-number summary. I'm going to have it labeled on the paper, but I want you to find the minimum, the maximum, Q1, median. And median is sometimes referenced as Q2 sometimes, so keep that in mind, but we haven't seen that yet. Median and then Q3. So you have to find that. There are clues in this problem. That problem tells you in the problem all 5 of those numbers. It's up to you to figure out which phrase and which number represents each one of these. Again, they tell you all of them in this problem. It is up to you to figure out which phrases represent which part of the 5-number summary. And I'm confident that we can figure that out. Now, I will give you bonus points on this assignment if you can find a way, once you know the 5-number summary, to draw a box and whisker plot using those 5 numbers. If you can find a way to accurately do that, and again, I'm making it optional simply because I know it's going to be really tricky to try to do it on this paper. But if you can do that, I will give you 5 bonus points on your assignment. So there's your challenge there to try to make a box and whisker plot on this. But keep in mind, you do not have to. And I will make a note of that on the assignment on the Google Classroom. I will write that down for you. Okay. So that's all I got for today's lesson, guys. So please make sure to get that lesson 15 exit ticket done. And you should be good to go. So short lesson today, but I hopefully explained it well enough for us all to get what was going on. please message me or email me if you have any questions about how to do these, guys. Again, one last time, if you can't get a box plot to get drawn on your paper, that's fine. Just make sure you write all the other stuff down, like the 5-number summaries. So, because again, 5-number summary, like I said, is the hardest part of the box plot. Once you find that information, just draw it in and you're done. But if you can't draw the box plot, that's okay. So, if you have a question, guys, let me know. Message me. And if not, good luck and hope you have a good rest of your day.